Hi, this is Zak Mir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zak's Traders Cafe for Tuesday, the 23rd of July. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which is in this rising trend channel in place since back in October. For the channel there around 81.50, and we bounced off that today. In fact, the low 81.52, so that's a box tick. We've got the top of the range there, 82.90 now, which is the top, basically the top of that falling May trend channel. If we break down below 81.50, there's a risk of 80.70 at that May support line projection. The negative at the moment is the way that we've had multiple failures at RSI 55, which is a rather strange configuration. And unless we get an RSI above that level, then we have the risk of rolling over at least to 80.70 for this market. Otherwise, you could just stand aside and wait for that May resistance line to break at 82.90 and then assume that we'll then head up to the highs. Although what could take us there is something of a mystery. Moving on to the DAX, and after spending a couple of days outside its rising trend channel from back in September, the market has re-emerged and has gone back into it. 18,300, the floor of the channel. We had a couple of days just stopping people out, I presume, and really need to break that line of resistance there from back in May, now at 18,600, to then give us a chance of an assault on the highest levels of the year, and also the top of that rising trend channel towards 20,000, which maybe is on cue for next month. Still looking at 18,000 if we do break down as being the worst on the downside. Next up is the Dow, and here you can see that basically this market has done what we hoped it would do, which is bounce off the old resistance area from back in May, and while we're above 40,000, looking for not only a retest of the best levels towards 41,300, but obviously the top of that rising trend channel from this time last year, up to 42,000, which is the target for the end of next month, hopefully a bit sooner than that. If we do break down, they're not thinking we'll get anything worse than 39,600, which was June resistance and initial July resistance for this market. Moving on to Bitcoin, where hopes of this market getting back above 70,000 quickly have been slightly dashed. We were sort of hesitating in the upper 60,000s, but at least while we're above the 50-day line there at 63,700, looking for 71,000 and that March resistance line over the next couple of weeks. We've had the bear trap rebound, and the support well above that 50-day line relatively encouraging. Moving back to gold, which has done what the Dow has done, basically finding support at old resistance. In fact, it's actually found support above the 50-day line, which was one of our potential support points, 23.70 at the moment, and the longer we stay above the initial July resistance at 24.03, the greater the chance of a move to retest the best levels ever towards 24.90 by the end of this month. Ultimately, we're looking for 2600 on the top of that rising trend channel from December by the end of next month. Bounce at RSI 50, which is the perfect continuation signal from the indicator. We already had one of those earlier in the month, and that gave us the record high. Moving on to the stocks, and starting off with a stock which is not always looked at by anyone, really, or not looked at very much by anyone. We've got Animalcare, and here, beautiful rebound off the top of that, well, sort of off the floor of that rising trend channel from September. That's heading up to 305 pence. We're looking for that by the end of the next month on the basis that we've got this step fashion ascent for the shares, which is basically the strongest configuration you can get. And while we're above a recent June resistance at 245, 305 plus is the target there. On to a couple of stocks, which I'm sure if they were in America would be worth 5 or 10 times more than they are in terms of market cap. First is EnSilica, which is obviously our own homegrown in NVIDIA. You can see a bear trap island reversal, and above that 50-day moving average at 50 pence. We're looking for the shares to hit as high as 80 pence by the end of next month. We are very confident after that bear trap island reversal formation. In fact, there's been two there because there was a gap down at the beginning of the month and a gap higher here. So the longer we stay above that 50-day line, the more chance of a spike to the upside, such as we had back in February. On to Filtronic, where the result of the company doing a deal with SpaceX, yes, Elon Musk SpaceX, is that the shares are up a whopping 3%, which just about shows the level of enthusiasm that we have in the London market. Rising trend channel there from October, top of the channel there, 97 pence, which we're looking for maybe by the end of next month, while we're above recent support on the floor of that channel at 72 pence. So maybe risking 4.5 pence to try and get 20 pence plus is the offer there. Moving on to Genedrive, which has maintained its recent form after hitting the resistance line there from back in December. Slightly disappointing, but 4 3/4 the line there, and above 4 3/4 looking for up to 7 3/4 by the end of next month. But we need to hold the latest support there at 3.5 pence on an end of day close basis. Maybe you can allow down to 3.25 pence, the top of the gap, but you get the picture. On to hVIVO, which I've been meaning to cover of late. We've had one of our favourite setups here with the unfilled gap to the upside above the rising 50-day line. That suggests that we could hit 33 or 34 pence by the end of next month at the top of that rising trend channel from December. Only back below the old April resistance at 29 pence, really delaying the upside scenario. On to Mosman, which celebrated today's RNS by being flat, which is a bit disappointing, but rising trend channel here and above the floor of the channel there now at 0.065, still looking for up to 0.1 pence by the end of next month. Next up is Optibiotix, where the call here was spot on, maybe even more spot on than was expected. Here we had the break of the 50-day line after the shares bounced off that August support line rejection at 15 pence. We were looking for the shares to hit that November resistance line rejection at 32. So far, the high has been 31.5, but obviously no one is perfect. And looking for 32 pence while we were above the old March peak at 27 pence. Ultimately, the obvious target there is November resistance at 35 pence by the end of next month. Moving along to a stock which changed its name, which I didn't really want it to do, but we've got Sunda Energy here, and here we might have an early bird opportunity. It looks as though the shares have bounced off the floor of that rising trend channel from January. The level there is 006, and above that looking for at least the 50 and 200-day moving average area at 0.077, and obviously hoping that the shares will hit the top of the range now at 0.11. But the key here is to see whether that 006 area holds over the next day or so. On to SRT, Marine Systems, and here, beautiful turnaround with the overshoot to the downside below 15 pence. Current situation is we've got this sort of W-shaped turnaround. Initial target here, 37 pence over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully maybe even as high as 53 pence by the end of next month. Punchy call, but the RSI bounces at and above neutral 50 are very strong, as is the rising 50-day line. On to the last two. First one is SkinBio, and here looks like we're in a rising trend channel base. Got the 50-day moving average rising well now as well, and above the floor of the channel at 9 pence, looking for up to 15.5 pence by the end of next month. If you're cautious, obviously wait for an end of day close through 10.5 pence, but it looks as though the shares already on their way. On to Totally, which is part of the NHS gravy train, I believe. Here you can see that we're near to our original target there, around 11.3 pence. Looking for 16 pence by the end of next month, while we remain above May-June resistance at 9 pence. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.